We meet again, Craig.
Craig has returned. The return of Craig.
Dun dun dun.
Are you trying the camera again?
I am. I'm seeing if it's gonna come through or not, and if not, then I'm just not gonna worry about it too terribly much.
That's fair. Is it the built-in laptop one? That is so weird.
Yeah. Yep, it's not working. Well,
Oh man, it can never just work, you know? It's always got to be some bullshit.
yep. Oh well.
There we go. Oh well. Yeah, how has the temp been down there for you? Temperature.
Hot.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It
We've
has been in like the 90s.
oh, yeah.
Yep, ooh, we have high 90s for today, 97, 97
God
tomorrow,
damn.
98 Sunday. Then it drops down to 93 on Monday and
Ooh.
90 on Tuesday.
Wow. Do you guys usually have fairly hot summers? Like, is it pretty
Yeah.
constantly like mid to high 80s?
Yeah, it's usually
Okay.
high 80s and 90s in the summer.
Okay. Yeah,
And
so that's
usually August it'll hit the hundreds, like low
wow.
hundreds.
Ugh.
It
No
gets
thanks.
hot, but I am not a fan.
I agree.
I'm I'm not made for this weather.
Yeah.
As I'll check the weather back home and I'm like, "Ugh, it's 85," as like their high.
Yeah.
And their
Yeah,
lows drop to like the 50s. And
yeah.
Denver, it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna drop to 70."
Interesting.
I'm used to like that 40-degree temperature swing versus like 20.
Yeah, we recently went through about a week and a half heat wave where it was low to mid 90s and we had a couple days that were pushing 100. And then just kind of out of nowhere, we had a cold front move in, and we had 3 or 4 days where it was like low to mid 70s, and we had one night that got down into the mid 50s, and it was very
Ooh.
nice. We were like, "Ooh, maybe the heat waves broke," and then all of our apps are like. Uh, warming over the next few days, and by warming they mean close to 100 again. And we're like, oh,
Oh
hooray!
god.
Yeah, so we're going back into your territory.
Yep.
Gonna be
Thanks, I
fun
hate it.
times. Yeah. I hate it here. It's great.
It's so hot. That was actually something they asked no, Salem. It was something they actually asked me at the doctor
Oh.
this week. They're like, "How are you holding up with this heat?" And I'm like, "Well, I work inside, thank God.
Hmm. Nice.
I am inside in the AC and I am not suffering." And they're like, "Oh, that's good." I'm like, "Yes, thank you. I'm at least doing the smart thing. I'm staying
Yeah.
inside
Yeah.
because I move too much and I'm like drenched in sweat."
Yeah.
No one told me pregnancy was this sweaty.
Which
It,
I feel like that's not something I would have thought of anyways, but just the thought of like, well, you're carrying more weight in addition to your body doing a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, so I guess that makes sense, but it's one of those things where like people probably don't talk about it. They don't mention it. It's like, yeah, you're going to be just kind of uncomfortable most of the time.
yeah, that's just
Like,
kind of the
hooray.
consensus is generally uncomfortable. But yeah, I had to Google it because I was like, I feel like this is just a me problem. No, no, no. It is just a pregnancy problem. Hold on.
Okie dokie. Stop it, Salem.
He's sitting next to me and like trying to play with my arm and was biting me
Oh.
like a little jerk.
Like a sweet little baby jerk.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently because carrying a human just generally can raise your body temperature, and it's
Mhm.
harder for you to, like, regulate your temperature as well. So you just get more sweaty.
Ugh.
It's just what happens, and they're like, "Yeah, it sucks. Oh, well. What you gonna do?"
Yeah, that's good luck for the next several months, however long.
They're like, "Yeah, 3rd trimester is uncomfortable. Oh, well."
You're like, well, the first two weren't exactly a picnic. What do you mean the third one's uncomfortable?
Yeah. It's She actually laughed because they had me fill out a form for depression and anxiety,
Oh yeah.
and one of the questions is like, actually, 2 of the questions were all about sleep, and I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm, like, most like, a good portion of the time, I'm not sleeping super well, or I'm waking up in the middle of the night and having trouble falling back asleep," and then she just laughed, she goes, "Yeah." I'm like
Yeah. She's
she's like,
in
"Yeah,
in
that
a
happens."
right,
I'm
in
like,
a weird
"Yeah."
way, she's thinking back to her pregnancies, she's like, just a little smidge of nostalgia and like, yeah, you're in that stage. Like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah. I think she would be shocked if I was, like, getting a good night's sleep. She would've been like,
Right.
"Okay, like, good for you."
Yeah,
But instead she's like,
almost annoyed.
"Yeah, that's normal." Yeah.
I had a pillow for way too many years. I think it was close to 10 years. And it formed really perfectly to my neck, but I finally just realized that all of the memory foam inside it is just smushed and it's old and gross. So I finally threw it away and I bought two new pillows. And I bought from a website called Mellow, and they're gaining a bit of a reputation, and supposedly they're super awesome. But the ones that are generally considered awesome are their like cloud pillows, super awesome ergonomic
Okay.
design, like memory foam. So naturally, I went to the bottom of their list and bought their cheapest ones because I was like, well, I'm not gonna just buy the top of the line fucking. Um, but I noticed that they are actually they're good pillows, but they're a bit too firm for me. They're great for like
Oh.
underneath your knees to help like with spinal alignment and stuff.
Yeah.
But for the last week, I've had just a horribly sore neck and like shoulder muscles because
Ooh.
my head just can't and my neck just can't totally like relax while I'm sleeping. And so I was like, I don't want to like return them. They're fine pillows. And so I'll probably use them as knee pillows in the future. But I went back to the website and
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I just bought the higher priced ones. I'm like, I'm an adult now. I can afford higher priced pillows and I
I can
deserve
afford
good
nicer
pillows.
things. I
Yeah.
deserve good things.
Yeah. It's like I can do well. And then I mostly was just like regretting that I had bought these ones first. And of course immediately threw my other pillow away. So I'm like, I could have at least kept that for the next like week to sleep with
Yeah.
until my other pillows come. But yeah, hopefully those ones will work out better. But I was just like, why? Why can't I just want to sleep? Just
We It's just one of those things. It
yeah.
happens.
I think the point I was making is like do you have you generally slept well like outside of pregnancy?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess where I was going with that is hopefully you can look forward to having better sleep post pregnancy. And of course there will be a baby, so that's but you know like your body
That
itself will
is
be better for sleeping.
Yeah. I won't hurt so much because I can actually lie in any position versus being like, I
Oh
can
yeah.
only lie on my sides.
Oh, I can yeah. I suppose laying on your back isn't exactly conducive to good sleep with a
Yeah,
child on you. Yeah.
you're not supposed to after 20 weeks.
Oh. Oh, okay. I didn't even realize it was a don't
Because
do it kind of thing.
because the placenta and baby can lie on your inferior vena cava,
Okay.
which is the main artery that brings all of the blood from your legs up to your heart.
Oh,
Yeah. So
that's important.
basically, it can just make you feel like really shitty.
Sure.
And they're like, the people that want to scare you are like, "It will kill you," and it's like, well, almost everything in pregnancy will kill you if you
Yeah.
take it far enough, Jesus.
Right. Right.
But usually, like, you'll just end up being uncomfortable, so, like, you're not if you end up, like, laying on your back at some point because 'cause you've just moved over, you're not
Mm,
supposed to freak out, it's not the end of the world.
gotcha.
But you are not supposed to purposely fall asleep on your back. Because 'cause I've
Well,
definitely
good
had
to know.
days where I've woken up and I'm like, "Oh, I'm definitely more on my back than I probably should be."
Oh, interesting.
But I also have to get up, like, every 2 hours for the bathroom, so
Ah.
if I am on my back, it's not for very long.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, okay, it's good.
It's
Eh.
self-correcting.
Yeah.
Have you traditionally not been a side sleeper?
I usually fall asleep on my side and then roll
Okay.
onto my back later.
Mm, interesting. I have gotten to a point where I basically need it to be pitch black, as quiet as possible, and oddly enough, I pretty much sleep like a corpse. I basically have my arms at my sides, and to my knowledge, I don't move a lot like while I'm actually asleep. If I'm not getting to sleep, I will toss and turn and I'll like move onto my sides, but it is very rare for me to actually fall asleep like on my side.
Yeah, that corpse laying on my back, I do that.
Oh,
I
okay.
also will burrito myself into the blankets and, like, will wrap myself up in,
Nice.
which is how I have stolen all of the blankets and just alligator roll with it, so they're, like, really difficult to steal back.
And Gabriel's just shivering.
Yes, he's just
Oh.
sitting there suffering, and I feel bad because then like, if I, like, wake up for whatever reason and I see that he's, like, not covered with the blanket, I, like, will go and cover him with the blanket to
Aw.
then steal it back later, which just, like, feels mean and cruel, but, like, it's never intentional, so
Right. Oh, do you tend to do that while you're asleep? Or just sort
yeah.
of subconscious? Oh, okay. That's amazing.
Yeah, so, like, I'll wake up for whatever reason, and then I'm like, "Oh, he doesn't have the blanket on," and I will go cover him with the blanket,
Oh,
and then
good.
next thing I know, I'm awake, wrapped up in everything, and he's once again shivering, so I'm like,
Oh.
it's like
I shiver.
if I steal the blankets and it's cold enough, yeah.
I shiver in my sleep.
Sometimes, yeah.
When I wake
Oh.
up because I'm cold, I'm like, cold. And then I just pull the blanket over.
Yeah, well,
That's
this
it.
is before, when we had the shared blanket, but
But
now
now
we don't share blankets.
I was gonna say now that you've
That
adapted.
is true.
Yes. Which
That's funny.
truly, honestly, I recommend that for people and they're, like,
Yes,
dealing with
I
a
agree.
partner stealing all the covers. Just get more blankets, and
Yes.
then you both have blankets, and everyone's happy and warm.
Yep. Completely agree. The that
It's
yeah,
so worth
the
it.
yeah, I've had a number of experiences like that, and it's like, yeah, just get separate blankets. It kind of seems weird, and in a weird way, it seems like less intimate. But sleep is important, and especially
Yes.
like going through a pregnancy. Like sleep is important for both parties, and yeah, so it's like just do whatever you. And I've even heard of people who scoff at the notion of like a couple that sleeps in separate rooms, and I'm like, I also appreciate that, like, there's a certain lack of intimacy for that, but to a certain degree, it's like that is a utility thing for getting sleep. And
Yeah.
it's like, there are a lot of psychiatrists who have recommended it, and they're like, their marriage was saved because they slept in separate rooms.
Yeah. I mean, I personally could not sleep in a separate bed, mostly because I am a big cuddler.
Oh,
So, like, when I want to feel comfy, cozy, I am just gonna force
Comfy.
my love and affection. on the other person.
I'm going to force.
Yes, I force it. There is no, you don't have the option. That's just what's happening.
No, that's
I
kind of
will lay on you in some form or another. So I'm aware of that. So I'm like, I could not sleep in a separate bed. What gets me is when there's like a very specific need to have very separate bedrooms
mm-hmm.
because you are like, well, I have to have my own specific space. And
Yeah,
I understand having like things that are yours, especially because it's so easy to lose, especially like with being married and then becoming parents. It's so easy to like lose your own self of identity.
for sure.
But I feel like there is also an extreme to it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Well, and to be fair, I don't think everyone necessarily needs like separate rooms, just separate beds, maybe, like even in the same, like
Yeah.
kind of going back to the 50s style thing, which was
Well, like
more
I
of
Love
a for
Lucy.
television. Yeah. Like it was a for television kind of thing, but in terms of getting sleep, it's apparently recommended.
Yeah. You don't have someone like kicking you in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And it's not for everyone, it's per case by case. There it is. Case by case
Yes.
basis.
Yes. Case by case.
Yeah. But speaking of being all wrapped up and sweaty, it's time for us to start the episode and talk about a weird guy. Yeah.
Ooh.
So, hello everybody and welcome. This is Peculiar Pairings. We did it.
Hello.
We got here.
We're
My
here.
name is Matt.
I'm Celine. Welcome. Welcome.
Yeah. And this is our little show where we have some treats and some drinks, and Celine tells us a story, and we might share
Yep.
some laughs and some tears and, a little bit of maybe even heartbreak along the way. But
Yeah, it just kind
without
of
much,
depends on the day.
it does, yeah. And there might be a little bit in this one, because usually I tend not to know anything. I've actually heard quite a bit about this guy, but without any further ado, Celine, what are we talking about this week?
We're talking about the Connecticut Leather Man,
Yeah. I was telling some
which
people about it at work, and I'm
yeah,
like, it's kind of hard to describe. I'm like,
yes,
it's simultaneously exactly what it sounds like, and yet there's so much more to it that it's just so bizarre.
yes. This one, I had a lot of fun researching this one just because I was like, interesting.
Oh, I can imagine.
Okay.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
and that brings us to our pairing for this week, which is basically just and I felt bad because we did this fairly recently, but it is very specific to this episode, so it felt
Yeah.
necessary. It's just kind of a classic hamburger and a Moscow Mule. And this one isn't too
Oh.
in depth, but Celine, do you have any idea how this pairing ties into this topic?
So I actually do know about the burger
Oh, okay.
specifically because as I was trying to see if they had, because you said steamed burgers,
Yes.
I was trying to see if we had any in Denver or like where to get them. And the first thing that showed up was regional to Connecticut. And I was like,
Yeah,
well,
okay.
okay.
Yep.
I'm not
Well,
sure.
and
Trying to have an element of surprise
right. Yeah,
for that
so
one.
yeah, I did a little bit of research on this, and what I had found was there are several things that are very specific and very famous, like for Connecticut. One is the steamed cheeseburger, which I still don't entirely understand exactly how they make them, but they use these special little kind of boxes that steams them, and they are super juicy and delicious, and the cheese melts into them. Um, but they also are supposedly the home of the original grinder, which, to be fair, is mostly just a sub or a hoagie. But that's like
Yeah.
their regional version. Um, and then they also have a Connecticut style lobster roll, which I thought was a thing that was like originated there, like just a lobster roll in general. But apparently that's kind of an East Coast thing. But most lobster rolls are served with chilled bits of lobster and then it's covered in butter. Apparently the Connecticut style is like in some way cooked, like fully warmed up or like fried lobster, which I feel
Oh,
like is the better way to
interesting.
go. Like why would you
Yeah.
want cold lobster? But the one that really got me was they are famous for a very specific kind of charred coal-fired pizza, as they call it. And I'm not sure if that's the specific name for this, but it is what they call a white clam pie that are hot
Oh.
lobster rolls tossed in butter. Oh, I'm sorry. No, no, no. It's kind of like a clam chowder pizza. And
Okay.
I looked that up a little bit and I'm like, that's nowhere near Wisconsin. So so luckily, after doing like those kind of researches, and I'm like, well, I'm not finding any of this anywhere near where I am. I did find out that in addition to the steamed cheeseburger, Connecticut is officially recognized as the origin of the hamburger. So they get the claim
Oh.
not only the steamed cheeseburgers, but the original concept of a hamburger is supposedly officially given to them, and including the Moscow Mule. So like, there's no specific
Ah.
tie to like the Leatherman or whatever. But yeah, both of these supposedly were initially created in Connecticut. With the Moscow Mule, most people assuming isn't that from Russia, and nope, just some guy decided to. I think he originally used a Russian vodka, but nope, he just thought it sounded exotic, so he called it that, and the
All
Moscow
right.
Mule was born.
And I did do mine without alcohol.
I
They
assumed. Well,
had,
it's also a
I mean,
delicious drink just by itself. Yeah.
yeah, they actually, instead of vodka, you sub with club soda,
Oh, yeah,
which
that makes
kind
sense.
of cuts some of the strength of the ginger beer a little bit, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a little less harsh. If you've ever had like just plain ginger beer, which
Yeah.
I personally like ginger beer, but there are definitely it is currently a lot harder for me to drink,
Oh, really?
mostly because everything gives me acid reflux.
Sure. Well, and it is. Yeah,
The
it is
ginger,
very
like
sour. Yeah.
the ginger, like, will hit harder, but
And
the
in case anyone's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say the Mocktail Mule
Ooh,
definitely,
nice.
like, that club soda kind of cut that a bit, and I was like, "Oh, I could actually, like, drink this and not have such bad acid reflux later."
Nice. Well,
So it was a
and
nice surprise.
for anyone who's unfamiliar, it is technically different than ginger ale. Ginger ale is much more of a
Yes.
sugarized soda. This is a lot. Anyone who's had like true original ginger beer, it's a lot of ginger. It is
Yeah.
heavy on the ginger.
And I love ginger.
I
I'm a
do too.
big
Yeah.
fan of ginger.
But yeah, I could see how too much of that would easily cause some acid reflux. So yeah, hopefully the club
Yeah.
soda helps and was still delicious.
Yeah. It was a good time.
Hooray! And we'll talk more about those after the story, but Celine, let's dive in.
Let's talk Leatherman.
Yeah,
So
not the
my
company, the
no.
dude. Yeah, it's a guy.
My sources for today are connecticuthistory.org,
Makes sense.
watertownhistorymuseum.org, uh, malegislator.gov, and
Hmm.
newyorktimes.com.
Oh, okay.
So quite a few different sources for today.
And all New England based. So that's
Yes.
fun. Hooray!
So,
As it should be.
yes, as it should be. Biggest question
Yeah,
facing us is who is this man?
that is because yeah, I hadn't listened to anything about it in a long time. When I brought him up at work, a lot of people had those kind of questions, and I'm like, as far as I'm aware, we don't really know. He's just a guy.
Yep.
I'm like, you can find pictures of him all over the place, but nobody
Yeah.
knows.
He
It's so
is
good.
one of the long lived legends of Connecticut lore. He is like considered the original vagabond.
Oh, okay, sure.
And his first mysterious appearance in the state is before the Civil War, and he seems to
Oh,
have just
wow.
sprouted out of the ground from God knows where.
Well, that was something people had asked me too, is like what time period. And I remembered there being photos, but I couldn't remember how old photography was. I definitely didn't think it dated back to the Civil War. Damn.
Yeah, he just very much kind of like sprouted out of the ground.
Like a daisy.
And yeah, they're popping up like daisies.
Yep.
He um,
The Mulan reference.
he was known to be smelly, rough and hairy,
Sure.
and generally greasy and unkempt, which
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this man just did not shower, so kind of not
Yeah.
surprised.
That I feel like in a lot of contexts, vagabond is a very kind way of saying like hobo or just not clean person.
Yeah. Yeah, it usually is.
Well, and I don't think
And
it takes a like a rocket scientist to jump to the leap that his name is Leatherman for a reason, and leather doesn't breathe well, so like
no, it does
it's not going to be
not.
good. Yeah, it's not going to be a good time. Anyway,
We do know that he was about 5 feet 7 inches tall,
hmm,
and in every kind of weather, he wore this patched together leather suit, which is just made of like long strips of leather, and it was just very awkward and bulkily
yeah,
sewn together. The whole thing weighed about 60 pounds.
god damn, dude had to have calves like tree trunks. Just walking around with a
Oh,
leather suit
yeah.
on all the time. Holy crap! Never thought about how
And
heavy it must have been.
he also carried around a homemade hatchet that was about 9.25 inches long.
Oh wow,
Mm.
homemade.
Yes,
That
everything was homemade.
which makes sense for like his sort of legend. I do feel like, and maybe it was more common just back in the day, but I imagine even around that time period of the Civil War, we had people that were like, professional blacksmiths that they made axe heads and stuff, and they had a certain level of quality that they're going for. So you see someone
Yeah.
with what I assume clearly appeared to be a homemade hatchet. I feel like that would put me on edge immediately because I'm like, if this guy's walking around in his own handmade leather suit, which could be human skin, we don't necessarily know, and then he has his own homemade hatchet, that would that would make me very unsettled.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting getup, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
it is
And
crazy.
yeah, he and basically his suit was constantly changing because as things needed like repair, he would just like sew on a patch of leather
Hmm.
to that
That was
section.
one thing yeah, that was definitely one thing I remembered that I brought up at work. Is I'm like, anytime you basically never saw him in the same suit twice because
Yeah.
invariably by the next time you saw him he would have made at least a few alterations because stuff would fall apart and he'd have to patch it up and yeah.
Yeah. But he basically had a career as a familiar itinerant until his death in 1889.
A career. I don't think I've ever heard it described that way.
And
I
anyone who is
mean,
not sure what an itinerant is, I had to look
hmm,
it up myself. It is someone who travels constantly from place to place, usually to perform, preach, or seek employment.
which I'll tell you, I don't know if I've ever heard that word, or at the very least not in that context. And knowing his story the way that I did, when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. He's
Yeah.
an itinerant. Very
Yeah,
specific
he's
schedule.
a wandering, traveling type, doesn't stay in one place for too long. And to this day, people speculate about him haunting caves where he used to stay, and also have theories
Mm.
that he stashed money and buried it in various places so that he had like buried treasure all along his route, which
That
nobody
would
has
be
found.
amazing. Well, and the more we get into his story, the more I think most people will find that to be unlikely, which I don't know every detail, and like how in depth we'll go, but it is kind of like if this guy had like a vast fortune that he's kind of hoarded away, I feel like he wouldn't necessarily bother living this kind of lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say not.
Or maybe he has little caches of like bits of money just in case he needs something or something, so I get the
Yeah.
feeling that like this concept of him having a true buried treasure somewhere is, if anyone found anything like that, would be disappointing to say the least.
Yeah. And little is known about who he is, where he came from, why he came to Connecticut, if he was from Connecticut, and why he did the things he did. But after years and years of his travels, he became more of an object of curiosity and a very frequent celebrity in the local newspapers. And they called him the Northeastern Sasquatch.
I forgot. I don't know why that tickles me so perfectly. I feel like it's the specificity of it, not just
Yeah.
the human Sasquatch or something, the Northeast Sasquatch. And it's like, well, he's a
Yep.
man.
Hmm.
The Northeastern
And
Sasquatch.
people would search the woods to like investigate him too.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And records and accounts of him interacting with people throughout the years, he rarely spoke to anybody.
Yeah.
And if you did talk to him, most of what you would get was like a grunt.
Yeah.
If that, he just like wouldn't talk to anybody, which also makes me wonder if maybe he couldn't talk.
Yeah, I always wondered that too, because there isn't supposedly he did talk to some people, but as far as I've ever heard, there's no confirmed accounts of him having a conversation. Like the
Yeah.
most widely reported thing is he just basically grunted and had like he would motion to things or something. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe he in some way was incapable of speaking or literally didn't have the cognitive capacity for speech, which he had to have understood language, like other people, talked to him and, you know,
Yeah.
told him things and gave him things. So like he had to have been able to understand, but yeah, maybe like what a weird thought to just go through life without being able to convey what you need people to know.
Yeah. Is very, very interesting.
Hmm.
And he devoted every single day to walking a 365-mile route, which was about 34 days long. And he went clockwise through southwestern Connecticut and adjacent sections of like lower New York.
I don't think I ever heard. He never changed direction.
Nope.
Three 360 miles. Wow, every day for years.
Yep.
This one thing I never thought to look up is I did know that he generally kept the same path. So I wonder if there's like a Leatherman walking path that you can go to and like walk the 300 miles that he did.
Oh, I'm pretty sure there is.
There almost have to. Okay, I changed my mind then. I had told Dad a while ago that I wanted to walk at least part of the Appalachian Trail. changing my mind. I want to do the Leatherman Trail.
It takes 34 days.
Oh yeah,
You know that.
it takes 30. Well, and it makes you wonder too, how fast did he go? Because he
No.
yeah, he was on such a specific schedule. It's
He
crazy.
was.
34
And
days.
these days would take, or these trips would take him through Danbury, New Fairfield, Watertown, Middletown, and New Canaan into Westchester and then back to Danbury.
Every day. All year.
Yep.
Never
And
stopped.
he would be in his head to toe leather suit and basically relied on the generosity of the regional townspeople and farmers who, over the years, came to know him. And while he had invitations to sleep in houses and barns, he tended to prefer caves and hollows for his resting areas.
That part blows my mind. Because I feel like if you're he clearly can't necessarily fend for himself in terms of food, which is why he goes to populated areas. But you would think that if you're the kind of person who wants to live in a cave or sleep in a cave at least, you would learn some way to like forage for food, because it seems
Yeah.
like he doesn't want to deal with people, which I can kind of relate to. But like for me, I'm like, if I stop each night to like ask someone for help for hospitality and they offered me a barn, like I don't necessarily want to stay in their home, but I'll take the barn and just like sleep in there by myself
Yeah.
and have some food and then get up in the morning. But I'm like, the idea that he would show up, have some food, and then they'd be like, "Do you want to take the barn?" And he's like, "No, cave." And then he just off into the darkness, and it's like that. Why, man?
Yep.
Why?
Well, and despite his outward appearance, he actually kept these areas very neat and tidy, and they'd have small little fireplaces for
Wow.
warmth, a sleeping area, and even in some of them he had like little storage areas for food, so like dried meats
Huh.
and hickory nuts.
Wow. That I don't think I'd
Some
ever
of
heard
them he
before.
had well-kept gardens.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, there's. I mean, if he is unable to speak, he clearly understands a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And some of these tucked away locations are actually named after him now. And they are like
Oh.
little reminders of his travels and kind of help keep the story of him alive in Connecticut.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet.
It is. And with the odd nature of his endless walking in silence, it fueled a lot of speculation about his origins, and with no one knowing where he was from, just that he started these walking trips in about the mid 1850s. It is believed, however, that he was of some sort of French origin, whether that is
Oh,
he could have been
right.
born in France or Quebec. He
Mm-hmm.
also, I did not see this, but I'm going to throw this out there. He could have been from Louisiana or like New Orleans,
Ah,
even.
yes. Cajun style coming down from the south, and he's like, I'm
Because
coming up
he
from
always
Indeed.
carried a small French prayer book.
Right. I forgot. Yeah, yeah, I forgot about that. So it's not so much that it's not so much that he couldn't speak, he just didn't know English. Which
That's also
after
very possible.
if after all that time you think, well, and he probably did pick up enough, like and I'm sure people were also gesturing to him, so like he got used to how other like certain words and stuff like that, and they were obviously used to him not being able to speak or necessarily
Yeah.
understand the words that they say. But I forgot about the French prayer book. And there again, I remember the speculations of like that could mean he knows French, and supposedly people witnessed him either like muttering prayers to himself or even in conversations with very few other people who were also like French Canadian or something. But there again, we have no record of that. But I
Yeah.
love the idea too that he potentially also doesn't know French and just likes having that prayer book with him.
Yeah, also very possible. We do know
Yeah.
that he is more than likely Catholic because he didn't eat
Oh.
meat on Fridays.
Because he walked on Sundays. Like he's walking every day, so he's doing his work. So
Yeah,
the only
I would say there
indicator,
was no rest on the Sabbath.
yeah. So that's not a super great Catholic, but like that's the hallmark was no meat on Fridays. Good man,
Yeah.
good leather man.
He at least practiced that.
Which also,
But
like, I don't think he's supposed to wear leather. I don't think he's supposed to wear the hides of animals. But I also have not
oh,
practiced Catholicism in a long time, so I could be wrong.
I don't know on that. I know that you're not supposed to eat I'm gonna say you're not supposed to eat things like shrimp.
Yeah. Sort of crustacean thing. Lots of weird
Yeah,
rules.
yeah.
Kind of random.
But regardless, he walked in any kind of weather. Rain, shine, rain, snow, did not matter.
He's the inspiration for the postal service.
Yep.
But
He also wore wooden shoes, which I cannot imagine were very
oh, I
comfortable.
forgot about that. Yeah, right. I mean, because they'd have to be treated and because otherwise, like, it can't just be rigid wood. Like they wouldn't flex at all. You'd have oh god, wooden
Yep.
shoes. That is definitely something I want to see if I can find a picture of because that is crazy.
Yeah.
Although I think he had kind of like leather foot coverings or something, but like I could see
Yeah.
the sole of it just being wood. Good God, man.
Yep. And once he started his walking journey, the various townspeople started getting used to his appearance and his unchanging schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So they started to like regularly provide him with food along the way. And when they tried to talk to him, tried to get to know him, all they would get was like a grunt in response. And then he would avoid going back to their homes for future visits. So he'd like actively avoid them when
Uh,
he felt like they were trying to pry too much.
See, now this is the part that I really identify with. Where like even when I'm out delivering mail, I feel bad
The
sometimes, but
ultimate
yeah,
introvert.
I'll see people coming towards the truck and I'm like, "Oh, please don't come over here. Please don't come over here."
Please don't
And
talk to me. Please don't talk to me.
well, yeah, and if they have a very like specific question about their mail or a package or something, absolutely I'll help you. That's my job. I'm out there to
Yeah.
do that. But a lot of times it's just like, "Hey, how's it going? Is this a nice day?" And I'm like, I just want to I want to be in my own little world. I want to deliver the mail and go on to the next box. Like why I don't want to chit chat. I've thought
Yeah.
about putting a little sign on the outside of my door that says like, unless you have a question about mail, please do not approach the truck.
Do not
Some,
approach.
yeah, just like beware the postal carrier.
Scares easily.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I should do. Yeah, I shouldn't paint myself as such a curmudgeon. I should make it seem like I'm just really shy and I don't want to talk.
Yeah. We used to have, because people used to tap on our glass case at Starbucks, we used to have
Oh.
don't tap the glass, it scares the bagels.
What?
What? Why would they tap? They're like
People
they're
just
point.
would. Like they'd point at stuff and they'd like tap on the glass, or they'd be like, I want all of these things. And you're like,
Oh, okay. I that makes okay. I
or kids would like
during
press
their
their
order.
faces against the glass case. And
Oh
it was like,
God.
that's too much.
That's weird. But I do kind of understand like if they're ordering, I could see myself doing that where I'm like I want this one and physically touching the glass. Although to if my memory serves me, I don't think I usually do. But I
No.
at least understand that. Like yeah,
I say
I was just
usually you'll like point and you'll like get close to the glass. Most
right.
people, most normal people don't actually like touch the glass. But we'd
Yeah.
have people like they'd go up and like tap the glass. For whatever reason, they would like feel the urge to tap the glass like it's a fishbowl or something.
Yeah,
Or like
which
it's
you're
gonna
also not
cause
supposed to
some sort of
do.
reaction.
Yeah, yeah.
So we put
That
that sign up because we thought it was really funny, and people would get a good chuckle out of it.
I think it's brilliant. I love that. That should be in every store. That's brilliant.
It should be.
It scares the bagels. That's yeah, I
Um,
like that a lot.
but those who did not talk to him very often and just gave him like what he needed were rewarded with his regular return and silent appreciation.
I I think maybe that's why I'm so enamored with this guy. Like in a weird way, I want his life. I want to just if I lived in a more modern age where there again like I had not even necessarily a cell phone but something with like a bunch of music or like audiobooks or podcasts or something, I think
Yeah.
I could live a life walking a 300-mile loop constantly if I had just entertainment in my ears all the time. I like walking.
Oh
It's
yeah.
one of the reasons why I like delivering mail.
Yeah. And during this time, there were a lot of men going from town to town seeking employment. And
Mm-hmm.
he was deemed to be the only exception to the tramp laws that went into effect in 1879,
Mm.
which I feel like we have a some sort of variation of these laws now, and I
Sure.
don't know if it's federal versus like a state by state case,
Mhm.
but these laws specifically were a law in Connecticut and potentially others where anyone who is not under 17 is not allowed to ask people for charity or beg.
Oh my god. Wow.
So that like begging, whether it's food, money, lodging, or clothing, by which a person having no residence in the town and or without a permit for such traveling jobs is
Oh, okay.
considered a tramp and their actions illegal. So that's
Wow.
and I don't know the legality of it today where someone's standing on the corner with their sign that says anything helps
Yeah, the
or
panhandlers or whatever.
the
I do
panhandling.
yeah, I do think that we have abandoned official like ordinances and stuff. I think we
Yeah.
do have laws about like if you're in the entryway of like a library or something, they have the right to ask you to leave, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, the way that I think that we've started doing this nowadays is the kind of like soft what do they call it? It's like soft prejudice or something like that. It's the idea where like you'll have park benches that have segmented seats on them
Yes.
so that you can't really lay on the bench or like they'll have those little like metal kind of
It
divider
is
things along a path.
anti-homeless architecture.
Right. Yes, there you go. Exactly. And so it's like we don't need to make a law. We just need to make the surroundings really
We need
uncomfortable.
to make it uncomfortable for you to be here.
Yeah.
Like having the like window under and on the windowsills, like the stuff
The
poking
awnings.
up from it,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
stuff like
It,
that, or like having ridges on things so it's uncomfortable to lay on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which like I understand people's discomfort with it. I can understand that mindset of like you don't like it. But as
Yeah.
there again, as much as I'm a curmudgeon, it's like that's a human being. I find it so odd that our way to deal with what people call the homeless problem is to like make them the bad guys. It's like, guys,
Yeah.
we could help instead. We could make this a
We
better
could.
world, but instead it's just like, well, they're not working, so fuck them. It's like, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Which is funny because like 60% of homeless people have jobs.
Yeah, that's yeah, that was something that's yeah, they pay taxes and stuff. I've known several people who for a period of time were homeless and they were working and they're like, yeah, just I couldn't afford rent. So I was just in my car.
Yeah.
Go to
I
a
had
go
a
to a truck
coworker
stop and
who who was at one point when I worked at Starbucks.
Wow.
She lived in
I
her car and she had
Yeah.
a gym membership. So then she's like, it kind of forces me to
Ah,
work out, but then I also have a place to shower every day.
yep,
I was like,
right.
oh, smart.
And I think we need to normalize like talking about that because I think it happens more than a lot of like I think there's a fair percentage of us who have had at least one coworker that without us knowing was homeless and they would show up for
Oh,
work.
I'm absolutely
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and it's like we it's confusing the lack of compassion that there seems to be within the human species.
Yeah. Which I think that's part of what makes this whole story so interesting because everyone is so compassionate towards like this one person.
Right. Well, and it's that idea of one person is a tragedy, whereas like 1,000 people is just statistics because they're just a crowd of faceless people. Whereas this guy's a
Yeah.
celebrity, and so they're like, well, we want to help this guy, and it's like he's actually doing less. The other tramps are working, and I can imagine him having a certain level of clout where he looks at these other tramps that are technically doing illegal things and he gives them a little wink of like you guys don't understand how to do this. You gotta you
Yeah.
gotta ingratiate yourself to the people, and then they'll just give you food. They offer
Yeah.
me places to sleep, and I don't take it. That's how rich with generosity I am.
Yeah. There's an author, David E. Phillips, that he wrote Legendary Connecticut. And he
Oh,
wrote in
okay.
one of his stories about a schoolgirl from Bristol whose teacher encouraged her pupils to like offer to serve the leather man and that
Oh,
like
no
they would
kidding.
get rewards in class for like their efforts, so like extra credit
Oh, wow.
for like going to like help him, so like kind of encouraging them to like be altruistic and do good things by being like, hey, if you guys want extra credit, just help this guy.
Go make a lasagna for Leatherman, and then let me know how it goes.
He's
And
gonna love
if
it.
yeah, he's gonna love it. He might hit you with his cane, okay? And watch out for that hatchet. That hatchet's a
Watch out for
doozy.
the hatchet.
Yeah, but you know which cave he stays in. He's not here right now. And then they look at the calendar and they're like, "Yeah, we got another like 10 days or something. He'll be here soon."
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently, tons of people along his route sought out opportunities to serve him, and that it wasn't until like the mid 1880s that people figured out that he was walking these loops and had like a whole network. And they figured out he had a network of over 100 caves along his route for like where he would stay.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah. I'm like 30. I was like 30 years, like wow. And I was like, this was the 1800s. I do need to remember that.
Yeah. And the idea too that these are perfectly habitable caves. They're well kept and there's not just a bunch of bat droppings and stuff. It's like
Yeah.
eh, even as much
Yeah.
as I've heard about this guy and just talking about him now and learning a little bit more, what what could possibly compel someone to do this
It makes me
every
think
day?
of Forrest Gump where he just
Yes,
starts
yeah,
running
yeah.
and he just starts running.
I was gonna say the same thing, and in the same way that people would seek him out, not necessarily even as like a prophet or a spiritual leader, just that there's something about his continuous journey that
Yeah.
is awe-inspiring and you like you can't look away like you're because I back then and into today I'm sitting here baffled, and I think a lot of
Yeah.
people would find that really intriguing, and even the simplicity of the life he leads, that they want to find out, like, why is he doing this? They're like, I need to
Yeah.
know. So they would seek him out. They're like, here's a granola bar. Just tell me why you're doing this.
Yeah. And he became such a phenomena in the like different areas that people tried to hide cameras to like catch his image, which
Wow.
I feel like it's a pain because you have to sit for so long at that time to get,
Right.
like, a photo.
Well, there again, that's why
That's
I
why
was
people
surprised
didn't
that it was.
smile in photos.
Yeah, I was surprised that it was all the way back to the Civil War because yeah, I was trying to remember like when cameras were invented, and even into like the Old West days, mid to late 1800s kind of stuff. Like those were very rudimentary cameras. Yeah, you had to sit still for it. So what?
Yeah.
They had like these old game cameras where a deer is just going to stand in front of it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
May I will say this, perhaps they found a decent like sort of straightaway where he like the camera would start its exposure when he's at a certain distance that it could kind of capture more or less a still image.
Or,
Although
like,
that
if
kind
he
of
was
defeats the
sitting
purpose.
down.
Yeah, yeah. And so you'd see like all the trees and stuff, they're more or less stationary, but then he would still be a blur. I don't know. I don't know how it works. Maybe we're talking about a time where cameras are a little more advanced. But there again,
Maybe.
Civil War. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Uh, Either way, I felt like that's very difficult, but
Oh, for sure.
he didn't really like the limelight and would avoid attention as much as he could, so that's why he would go to these smaller towns versus, like, a large city,
And the
and
caves.
one
Like,
person actually presented him with a newspaper article about him, and he grunted with no enthusiasm at finding out that he was basically famous. He's just like,
which, there again, if he only knows French and can't read any English or understand what people are saying in English, he might not have even been like unenthusiastic. He might have just been like, yeah, that's a newspaper, and then just kept walking.
"Yup,
He's like, no, this is
yep,
about you. And
that's
he's like, dude, I don't even know the words you're saying.
I do not understand."
Yeah. But you're a celebrity. I don't know the words. I gotta go. I've got a schedule to keep. And he just takes off.
There were quite a few theories that started to spread about him and, like, why he was doing this, and like, "Oh, he's disguising himself to evade police because he's a fugitive from justice." Or that he was a wealthy businessman who was struck down by tragedy from a fire and was mourning the death of his fiancée.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, all guesses are equally valid, but some are more ridiculous.
Yeah. They're
Whew. The running from the cops thing, I think, is the most ridiculous because it's like, at a certain point, he does have to understand that people know who he is, even if there is a language barrier thing. Like you said, he knows to avoid big towns. So if he was really trying to evade police, he would stay in the cave longer and presumably break from his normal path. He
yeah.
goes
I
through
would say
every
I feel like he
34
wouldn't
days.
have a regularly scheduled walking
Right.
path that
Yeah,
like people knew to expect him on.
at a certain point the cops are like, well, he's going to be in this town on this day, so let's just go there and wait for him. Like it's not a great
Yeah.
way to evade the police, even back in this time
No.
period.
No, absolutely not. But the one that did show up the most was, and this did actually circulate during his lifetime, was that he was Jules Bourglet, and he was the disgraced suitor of the daughter of one of France's biggest leather speculators, so biggest leather like connoisseurs, sellers,
Okay.
and had
Hence all the leather.
inadvertently brought about the financial ruin of the Laron family. So he fled France and mysteriously surfaced in Connecticut. His first recorded appearance was in Harwinton in 1858.
Yeah.
However,
1858.
this
Yeah.
tale has since been debunked and he has been like falsely identified as this person.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So we
But
thought we had
regardless,
it. And
people looked forward to his visits and would prepare special meals for him, which I think is very sweet that they
yeah.
not only were trying to share their generosity, but would go out of their way to make certain things for him. Parents would scold their children for staring at him in the street. Uh,
Huh.
Good.
one story I found that I thought was very sweet was a boy just out for a hike found one of his unoccupied caves and was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'm gonna build a fire," and used his pile of firewood. And
Oh,
then when
okay.
his mom found out, she made him go back in the dark and replenish the wood so that Leatherman wouldn't get cold.
Oh.
Which, like,
Oh.
it's sweet that she cared about that, but also, like, kind of shitty that you sent your child out in the dark.
Well, and they're gonna, especially since like he has a fairly specific schedule, and I'm assuming most people were relatively aware of what that schedule was. So it's like you probably had a day. You know, you didn't necessarily have to send him out in the dark to
Yeah,
potentially be disappeared in the middle of the woods. It's like, okay, well, go back tomorrow morning and replenish his wood. That is still very
yeah,
sweet, though.
yeah.
I like to
And
think
there
too that
was
Leatherman is very specific about his wood, and so he gathers, specific like birch tree wood, and he
oh,
piles
I'm
it just so,
sure.
and so then he gets to his cave, and he's like, "This is some shit wood. Somebody fucked with my wood."
Yeah. There's one story of a shop owner, Mr. Darrow from Shrub Oak. He was the owner of Darrow's grocery store.
Hmm.
He noticed that old Leatherman hadn't shown up and that he was a little late. So
Oh.
they checked his cave, but it was empty. And they were relieved when he showed up like a few days later on February 19th,
Hmm.
seeming to be making up for this lost time. So he called to him and motioned for him to come into his store. And against all odds, he did. And he sat down by the fire. So he gave him some cheese and crackers. And he decided he was going to try something that he wasn't really sure was going to work. So
Right.
he told him, "Oh, I am so old," and wrote down his birthday and then passed it over to him like the paper and pencil. So that he's like, "Oh, how old are you?" So he took the pencil and paper and he wrote down 15342, which some people saw it
Interesting.
as the 15th of March, so
Right.
15342,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
which would have made him 42 at the time. And
Okay.
that's they do I'm gonna say they do calendars that way in quite a few other
Right.
places that are not US.
Yeah, and I don't know at what point we abandoned the like European format. So it's
I'm not
possible,
sure.
and well, and especially if he was still recently French and it found himself in the United States, he would still use that calendar format. But
I
there's
wanna
no
say they use that
slashes.
format in Canada too.
Oh, yeah, I think you're
So if he
right.
was French Canadian, that would have been a very normal
For
format.
sure. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think the United States is the only place that uses our formatting.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm almost certain that every other place on the earth is day, month, year, and for some reason we do month, day, year.
Yeah. And some people thought that this would be even funnier with the urban legend of him was that maybe he was in fact
Ha!
15,342 years old.
Okay, that's fun. I
And I like
like.
that they just did that because they thought it was funny,
That's
not
great.
because it actually made sense.
Yeah, that is like the perfect kind of urban legend for just like your local town. Where you all know it's a joke, but you talk about it in a way that's like semi-serious. And then like as it goes through history, it becomes more serious because people didn't understand the context in which it was made. They're
Yeah.
like, I'm pretty sure he's 15,000 years old.
And
Although to
he's
be fair,
definitely vampire has lived forever.
yeah. I mean, that's what the guy said. He just said, "How old are you?" And he just saw numbers on a piece of paper. So he's like, "Well, I'm 15,000 years old." Maybe it was 15,000 days. That would
Maybe.
translate to a lot of years.
I'm gonna find out just how many
Oh, are you
years
looking it up?
by
Yeah, what was
pulling
it?
out my handy dandy calculator.
Bum, bum, bum. 15342. 15,342 days.
And again, that would still put him at about 40, 42.
Shut up! Oh my god!
That's actually kind of funny.
Wow! What
So either
a
way, he
coincidence.
could have been 42 years old, whether that's I'm
Wow!
15,000 days old or
Which, yeah, also, like, if he that shows some remarkable mathematical ability. If he knew how many days it was, and he's like, yes, I am 15,000. He's like, well, let's see, it's roughly, I was born on this day in this year, and it's been this many years. Well, just to fuck with this gentleman, I'm going to write 15,342 days.
maybe
Let's
he
see
was a
what he does
savant
with
and
that.
we had no idea
Yeah,
because he
I mean,
preferred to not be around people because fuck the public.
yeah, well, I mean, there are a lot of people who either are incredibly high IQ or like have a savant syndrome kind of thing, generally don't do as well in social situations. So that could have
True.
been part of it. He might have been a mathematical genius and he's, doing calculations in his caves. And then whenever he leaves, he erases them and he just keeps them in his mind. But he's like, I still need food and stuff. So I'll Honestly, I feel like this actually makes the most sense because if he was that interested in like science and math, he would want to do nothing else. So like just being on the road and thinking about equations and stuff would be more efficient to him than like toiling away in a lab for money or at like a job to earn money so that he could do mathematics on the side. I
Yeah.
think we're onto something here. I think he was the very first rocket scientist.
Oh, he could have been. In 1888, he did find that he was not able to resist everyone's efforts to bring him indoors when he hobbled into town, which was after a major snowfall and also combined with him having cancer.
Oh, every
Yeah.
every step of this is me literally reliving other like stories tellings of him that I've heard. Oh, I forgot
But
about that. Yeah, he
it had
yeah.
been clear to people for months that something was wrong. And you can see it in later photos of him that like his bottom lip is swollen and
Yeah.
he does have like this raw sore, which people think he more than likely had mouth cancer from chewing
Yeah, yeah.
tobacco or from smoking
Yes,
with
that's
his
yeah.
homemade pipe.
Yeah,
And
and it would also make sense too like if well cuz that would have made it you said this was 1888?
yeah,
Yeah, so he'd be 80, right? Like he'd be about 80, I think. Did I
I
do
would
that
say
one?
so. Like, he would have been older.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Gosh, he almost made it to the 1900s. Holy crap.
Almost did. And when he ate, he covered the sore with like a special patch of leather so people like wouldn't see it.
Oh no.
But at one of the houses he stopped at for breakfast belonged to a doctor, and he did allow him to examine his lip and give him some ointment for it.
Okay.
But by this point, the sore had deepened into a hole that just eventually ate away half of his jaw.
Oh my god.
And he could hardly eat because of just having like this hole in his mouth. And
Right.
he would soak his food in coffee and like drink it essentially.
Oh my god.
And it just unfortunately only got worse from there. So
Sure,
a few
sure.
people along his route had decided that they needed to do some sort of sting operation intervention
Oh, because they're
just
wow,
to
which
get
is sort
him
of
some help.
yeah, it's kind of like a wild animal where they're like, look, we've been monitoring this creature's behavior. It is not
Yeah.
doing well, and it will not seek medical attention. So we we have to get him to take which I can understand a certain implication of like a lack of consent, but they're like, we love Leatherman and he's clearly got something wrong and we don't want him to be
Yeah.
in pain anymore.
So he stopped to get a meal at the house of Amy Guy, like he always did.
Mm.
And she sent a messenger 2 miles up the road to his next stop, which was the Fisher house. So
Oh.
when he showed up, he was met by police chief, the town physician, and representatives of the Connecticut Humane Society.
Oh my God.
And essentially, they arrested, not really arrested, him and got him into a carriage and got him to Hartford Hospital. And he didn't resist and seemed to understand like why they wanted him to go. But
Okay.
just as soon
Okay.
as he was dropped off, he walked out and just went right back to his walking.
Oh my God. Wait. Okay, maybe he either didn't understand as much, like once he got there, he might have thought maybe they just want to give me a ride. And then they take him to this medical center and he's like, "Well, I'm not doing this
He's
bullshit."
like, fuck this
So,
shit.
I made a joke about him being a wild animal, but that's kind of exactly what would happen with a wild animal, where like you end up in this like hospital and you're like, "I don't fucking want to be here. I want to go back to the what." It's kind of a hard thing to sort of judge because this is clearly a guy who is used to living exactly the life that he wants to live, or at the very least, the life that he is comfortable living. And
Yeah.
regardless of his state of health, you're taking him away from his comfort zone. So it's like,
Yeah.
I think it's fairly universal that generally humans don't want to die. But there again, he's like, if I can understand him being of the type where he's like, if I'm gonna die, I want to die on my road, the
I
path
want
that
to
I
die
have
on
been
my
walking.
terms.
Yeah, yeah, I want to die either in one of my caves or on my road. So let me go.
Yeah. And a week later, he was in pretty rough shape. He showed up for a dinner at the Barnard House in North Haven, and he was muddy and wet, and they managed to get him inside and next to his fire, or next to a fire. And they offered him an apple, and when they shook his head, he pointed to his lip, and instead he drank 6 bowls of coffee-soaked food. And they told him to stay as long as he would like, but he basically gestured like, "Nope, gotta go. I
Oh,
gotta leave."
yeah.
And his last loop began in March of 1889. He was heading in the direction of Ossining, and he was pretty weak at this point and had to rest every couple of 100 feet. And eventually, he disappeared into the woods in the direction of one of his caves.
Wow.
And a few days later, a local carpenter took his wife out to see a rock shelter on a local farm. And inside, they found old Leatherman face down. His coat was off. He was only wearing one boot. And at first, they thought he was sleeping, but he had, in fact, died.
Oh. Which
And
also is
they,
kind of odd. Like, that's probably one of the only times people saw him without his full leather suit on.
yeah, absolutely. And the locals buried his remains in an unmarked grave in the pauper section of Sparta Cemetery in Ossining in New
Oh,
York. They buried him in a pine box, and his suit went on to have its own life postmortem, and it
wow.
was made to sit upright in a chair and was displayed in the window of a cigar shop in downtown Ossining. It
Of
eventually then
course.
went to New York City, where it was displayed in at least 2 different museums.
Cool. I was gonna say that feels like it's something that would eventually get to like the Smithsonian. Do we know where it is now? Is it still
I
somewhere or is it kind of
am
lost?
not.
Damn.
Let me see.
'Cause yeah, that'd be cool if like you could still go and see it somewhere. I'd go visit his suit. That sounds fucking awesome.
Let's see if I can find out.
Because like initially I was expecting your first thing to essentially be like, and it was kept safe in a museum for the rest of time. And then it's like, nah, it was in a cigar shop. It's like, oh, of course. Someone saw him in his cave and was like, I'll take his suit for $1. This
Oh
is back
god.
in the time. This is back in the time period where $1 was actually quite a bit of money. So that suit is mine. I own a cigar shop in town in the town of Sparta. Oh, he died a Spartan. That's pretty cool.
He did.
Good for you, Leatherman.
Uh I am not seeing it.
Huh.
I do not
I wonder
know.
if it's weird. I wonder if it's just been lost to time.
It might be.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Um Around his loops, people started searching his caves and started digging holes in the woods to see if they could find this buried treasure that there were rumors about. And as far as I'm aware, no one has found anything.
Okay.
He left behind a leather backpack, a leather pouch, one leather glove, and some homemade pipes, a few simple
Uh-huh.
tools, and two books, one made of brown paper and full of like figures and hieroglyphics that no one was able to decipher, and then like the prayer book that we talked about.
Right. Yep. Hieroglyphics. See, maybe he was a scientist. Oh my god.
He could have been. And then in the 1950s, someone placed they put a marker on the spot of what they thought was his grave. And then later, a formal headstone was placed that falsely identified him as Jules Bourglet.
Oh, right. Okay.
And
Yeah.
in
So that
20,
that continued.
yeah,
Right.
in 2011, the town's historical society petitioned to have this grave site moved to a safer location because it was right off of like a very busy road. It was very popular. So they moved it further into the cemetery so that people weren't like potentially walking into the road.
Right. Just
And
accidentally. Sure.
they gave him a very simple plaque that says Leatherman, and it says where I started my loop.
Aw.
And
That's pretty sweet.
researchers had hoped that when they exhumed him that they might be able to find clues about his identity, but
Mhm.
unfortunately they were unable to turn up anything, mostly because since he was in an unmarked grave, I don't think they could find him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they were never even I mean, that makes sense. It's gonna be pretty hard to get any kind of genetic material if you
So
can't find the body.
either because they couldn't find him or he was already decomposed, or just, that the what they thought was where he was buried was the wrong location and he's still physically where he was buried the first time.
Right?
It unfortunately did not lead to any answers in identifying him. But
Mhm.
still his life and legend lives on in stories and in our hearts.
Yeah. I did kind of forget about the cancer, and, like, I forgot that it was I remembered he died of something that's, like, a fairly natural cause, but I forgot that it was so graphic. Like, it literally ate away at his kind of like, one of the Radium Girls when they were
Yeah, like their
yeah.
jaws would fall
Yeah.
off.
Oh my god. What a horrifying way to and it's weird too that, like, there again, you can never really be sure if he's totally with it or, like, if he just doesn't quite understand what's going on. Because there's a simple sort of dignity in the idea that, like, yeah, look, I know my jaw is being eaten away, but this is my life. This is the life I want to live. I have this path. I walk it every year, every month. So leave me to it.
Yeah.
And I think there is a sort of sweetness to the idea that he got to, like, I feel like it would be a bit more tragic if he was on his way to a cave and he was just in the middle of the woods or something, but it's like he got to get to one of his homes and he laid himself to rest, and that's how he finished his life.
Yeah. He got to finish it on his terms like he wanted.
Yeah. Which is weird too, to also think that we don't really know what he wanted. Like, because we have no idea what exactly compelled him to do this. Although I do find the hieroglyphics very intriguing, to say the least.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Such an anomaly. We will never know.
Yeah, and such a great story. I'm really glad that you brought this up. I think it was on our last recording. Like, I'm pretty sure it's kept in the episode when you were talking about what the next topic was, and I got practically giddy with excitement because I've listened to a number of
Yep.
things about him, and it's yeah. I hope any listeners to this have had an interest sparked in them about him as well, because it's one of the few stories too that we get that isn't like, it's not about greed, it's not about betrayal. It's just one
True.
dude living a really weird life. Like
Living
he's
the life that he's choosing to lead.
yeah, and it's so remarkably mundane and at the same time remarkable that, like, he wasn't a hero. He wasn't like delivering medicine or anything. He's just a guy out walking. And yet the idea
Yeah.
that I don't know if this is entirely true, but I remember one of the stories that I'd listened to before, they either had records of, or they were joking about the idea that people used him to essentially keep time, or like keep pace with the year, because they're like, oh, there goes Leatherman, it's another 34 days. And so it's this just
I could
odd
see
sense.
that.
Yeah. And the preciseness of it, where he would have to walk his path at the same pace without stopping ever. Or
Yeah.
he had like built-in brakes or something, but he would have to have very that's why, like, it's one of the only times where itinerant makes absolute perfect sense, because like that is literally his entire life. He has a very specific plan that he follows
Yep.
every moment of every day. And I like the idea too that I'm willing to assume it wasn't even necessarily that he was entirely antisocial, but he could tell that the people who really wanted to talk with him, the people who wanted to like learn about his story and that kind of thing, I would find it more believable that he saw that as a waste of time, where he's like, no, I have a schedule to keep. Sitting down and talking with you is going to take more time, and I have stuff to do. I have the same stuff to do, but stuff nonetheless.
I could see that. I could. It makes
So I mean,
sense.
yeah, would you ever want to take a month off and just go like walking through the vast wilderness of the New England part of the country?
Hmm.
Does walking for
Great
30
question.
days straight does walking for 30 days straight sound interesting to you?
Does.
Okay.
At the same time, I don't know how much of a backpacker I am.
Yeah. I made kind of a big deal about me enjoying walking, but I I don't know how much I would want to do that. I did know a guy who actually rode his bike from Seattle to New York, and
Oh.
I feel like that would be more appealing, like being on a bike, because at the very least, there would be certain times where if you feel like you're at your peak point of exhaustion, you'll come to a hill and then you can just kind of coast down at least for like a few miles, and kind of regain
Yeah.
some energy. Whereas like if you're just constantly walking, even if you're going downhill, like you're still expending quite a bit of energy.
Yeah. I feel
Well,
like it would just depend.
yeah, and I'm certainly not asking you to do it while pregnant. That would be a bit much.
Oh God, no. God, that doing it now would be a huge no for me.
Right. I feel like you're well, not even your doctors, just like Gabriel would be like, no, no. Well, yeah, I mean, you yourself is like, no, that's not going to happen. And then even Gabriel's
Yeah.
just like, no, no, not right now. And then I'm like, no, let's go. Let's go to Connecticut.
We're going on a trip. Woo.
Yeah, we're going on a road trip. We're gonna be gone for 34 days exactly.
No more, no less.
No, yeah, and if we're gone for longer than that, we have gone the way of the Leatherman.
Yep. Send help.
So- and that's how you know we're not fit to be Leathermen, because he would never ask for help. He's like,
No, he
you
would
can
not.
give me some food, but otherwise I'm going back to my cave. Which there again, I do feel the need to reiterate how much I identify with that, where it's like the number of times that I'm like playing a computer game, or I'm even at work and I get done with my shift and I think I really want some Chinese food or I want a steak or something. And I'll go to a restaurant and there's just so many people. And my dream would be to like be rich enough that I could pay the restaurant to close down and only serve me, not even for a whole day, just like for 2 hours. Like, I will pay you however much money you would lose by being closed so that you can just serve me a steak. So my compromise for
Which
that
sounds
is
like every server's dream.
also, yeah, right? Where you're like, I get to spend most, or at least a chunk of my shift worrying about one table, just one person. And even then, so what my compromise is now is clearly I don't have that kind of money, but I'll go to like a Chinese restaurant or I'll go to Texas Roadhouse and I'll put in my earbuds and I'll be listening to a podcast or something because I'm like, I want to feel like the other people aren't here. I want to enjoy my steak and just have my dinner and that's it. And yeah, if I had the money, I feel like I would insist on a music selection where I'm like, I know you guys have a stereo system here. I want to put this on while I dine, but otherwise, just business as usual. I'm just your only customer for like 2 hours.
There you go.
I think that's yeah. I mean, I'd have to make a lot of money, but that's a fairly quaint desire.
I agree.
And speaking of eating, Celine, what did you get for a burger?
I got a burger from Freddy's because so that's how I came to know what the whole thing with the burger was I was trying
Oh,
to figure out whether or not I could get one.
yeah, yeah.
Cannot, as I found
Oh,
out.
okay. Yeah.
Not something they have available for us here in Colorado, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't do a lot of searching, but Eau Claire is relatively small, and I was not hopeful in the beginning, and it's like, yeah, nobody does steamed cheeseburgers.
But I went with Freddy's because I knew that theirs would just generally be a pretty good option as far as just getting a burger. Pretty decent. I give it a solid 8. Um, I would give the drink, I feel like I'd also give the drink an 8. And I I was kind of surprised that well, I guess I forget this about ginger is that it can be such a palate cleanser. So like having the Moscow Mule cleansing my palate the whole
Yeah,
time as I'm like eating the burger. I was like, this is like pretty good combination with the two. So I'd give it like a solid 8.
I agree.
I was pretty
I
pleased.
yeah, I had mentioned that I we ended up doing burgers somewhat recently, and I went to the same place. Shout out to Valley Burger Co. here in Eau Claire. Still maybe the best burgers I've ever had in my whole life. And this time when I went, I got what they call the Whiz Co. I think it's called the Whiz Co.
Oh,
It's got cheddar cheese, or no, I think it might be Munster cheese. But then they have their special sort of whiz, as they call it, which I'm not sure what that is, but I believe it's a cheese sauce. And then they have their Valley sauce, which is kind of a sriracha mayo, a little bit. But
okay.
otherwise, there's really, I cannot stress this enough, really good bacon, like thick cut, maybe even a little mapley bacon. very good burger. If you're in the Eau Claire area or if you're just in Wisconsin, come out here and go to that restaurant. It's phenomenal. Um, that burger, it's got to get an 8. It's not exactly perfection, but it was incredibly good. The Moscow Mule, I would give for just drinking, and this isn't even a knock on them, like just the drink itself. For my taste, I'll give it a 6. But I have to admit, kind of what you were saying, each sip in between a bite, it's the pair together is a 9 for me. It was surprisingly well balanced, and the way that
Mhm.
they kind of played off of each other. You'd have the palate cleanser, and then you could enjoy the bite of burger like it was the first time again. Oh, excellent. Yeah,
Yeah.
that actually worked out really well. And I love how that was just sort of an odd coincidence of both of those things being from the same place. And they also just happened to go really well together.
Yep. It all worked out.
Absolutely. And if you listeners have anything that you would like to recommend to us, either topics or pairings, you can email us at peculiarpairingspod@gmail.com. You can find us on the app formerly known as Twitter at peculiarpairpod. You can find us on Instagram at peculiarpairingspod. And check us out on Patreon. I believe it's patreon.com/peculiarpairings. And we're on YouTube. Yeah, we got
Yes.
some. Celine has been putting up some of our audio up there, so go check it out. And
Yeah,
while
we're
you're
all
there,
over the
give
place.
us give us a like, give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're on, because that helps
Like,
us out.
subscribe, rate, all of
Yeah,
it.
I I told my roommate about he apparently looked it up, and there was some guy named Scott. I don't know if you know a Scott, but he gave us a review on I think Spotify that was like, I love this podcast. I'll be really sad when I get caught up, because he started after we had been doing it for a couple of years, and I'm like, no follow up, Scott. I'm like, come on. I'm like, so Scott, if you're listening to this, send us an email or something and just tell us like how you feel about how we're doing now, because I'm curious to know.
I am very curious. I'm trying to think of, do I know a Scott?
Yeah, because he was reading them off, and shout out to my buddy Jordan View. Jordan, if you're listening, thank you very much. I believe he was our first 5-star review, and
Nice.
it is comically overwhelmingly like positive, like to the degree of it sounds like we paid him to write it. So it's something like the best podcast that exists, and I'm like, okay, tone it down a little bit. but but yeah, my
That
next
is
thought
so
was like,
sweet.
yeah, I think the other guy's username was like Scott DTS or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I'm like, I don't know a Scott. And so I'm like, I wonder if Celine knows a Scott. And I'm like, is this just some random dude who just really likes listening to us? So like I said, yeah, Scott, if you're listening, send us an email. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
I know we have other listeners that love listening to us. Like,
Yeah.
Heather and I message every so often. She'll like tell me her thoughts on our episodes and stuff like that, and I love it.
Yeah, I do still
It
see
it
some
just
messages and likes
it
from
tickles me
fairly.
every time.
It
I'm
does.
just like,
Yeah. Even if it's like just 2 or 3 people. Shout out to my T6 Pino. Thanks for listening, Pino. I don't know if he's still listening, but I heard
I'm
he's quite
going
devoted, and it's
to
very touching.
believe that he does.
I am too. I would like to think that he does. Which is also a slightly unnerving for me, just because like it's weird to me to think that, like, because we see a lot of each other in general at work, and we
Yeah.
recently started doing trivia nights together.
Oh, fun.
So I'm like,
If he has
you're
any suggestions, let me know. I'm
yeah,
open.
yeah, why doesn't he, yeah, email us, man, come on, let us know what you, yeah. But without any further ado, now, Celine, do we know what we're doing next week?
Oh yeah, we're diving
Oh
into
boy.
conspiracy theories once more, and we are talking about the
Yes.
1968 Kentucky Derby.
Huh.
So underwhelming by that response. Wow.
Well, and when you said 1968, my mind went to two different places, which is some kind of like I can't remember exactly when Roswell was, but I think it was in the 60s. But then also like something with the moon landing, and you're like the Kentucky Derby, and I'm like the horse racing. There's a okay. There's apparently some kind of wild conspiracy. Well, just to clarify, that is what I'm thinking, right? Like the Kentucky, the famous
Yes,
Kentucky Derby.
The Kentucky Derby.
There's and just to clarify before we go to the next episode, like that year specifically, 1968.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I am
too.
very intrigued, and I can definitely say I have no idea what that is about at all, and I'm very excited.
It's gonna be great.
Well, good. And speaking of great, you are great, our listeners. Thank you so much for being here, and we hope you had a good time, and
Yeah.
we'll see you next time. Thanks for being with us. See, now I waited too long, but I'm going to do it again.
Quite the pause.
That was it. It was like, did I wait? And then I became too conscious of how long I waited, and then I was looking at Craig, and I'm like, he's not helping me at all. But with all of that, I will just say goodbye.
Have you ever noticed that the world is a little off? There's places you shouldn't go after dark, and stories that don't make sense. Crazy creatures that people swear they saw, and facts that sound completely made up, but they aren't. Over at Creep It Weird Podcast, we're diving in, because sometimes the scariest things are true. And if you're gonna lose sleep over it, you might as well laugh a little on the way. But always remember to creep it weird.